This spring, the 10,000 Voices campaign will be taking their message about police violence to all Ivy League schools in the U.S. For founding member Chris Egge, he began to see the impact of that message just before going to university.
Just over a week before I would arrive at Harvard for the first time, Michael Brown was shot and killed by the police in his hometown of Ferguson, Missouri. Through his death, I saw what happens to those whose dreams are deferred and ultimately denied.
That is just a snippet from his commencement speech he gave last year. Since then, the Toronto-born Harvard grad has been continuing his anti-racism advocacy through his involvement with the organization No More Names. Chris joins me along with Vibor Mather, who is a Queen's University graduate and also a founding member of No More Names. Thank you both for being here this morning. Chris, the organization is called No More Names. Where does that name come from?
Yeah, the name essentially comes from coming into college. I learned a name, Michael Brown. He was killed, and his body was left on the streets for 4 hours in his hometown of Ferguson, Missouri. And throughout college, I learned more names. Ayanna Stanley Jones, all the way down to Stephon Clark right before I graduated. So I want to live in a world where, you know, the next generation doesn't have to learn any more names.
And Vibor, is that the purpose of the 10,000 Voices campaign?
Yeah, I mean, the 10,000 Voices campaign was really our call to action for young people across the country to take to their social platforms and really share a name and the story behind some of these victims that either they had a personal relationship to or it affected their local community. I think too many times, too often, we see these names and continue with our days, but we really need to unpack those stories because they had a ripple effect on those communities.
Chris, we played some of your commencement speech earlier where you talked about Michael Brown's death. And, we know a little bit about your personal history, that you went to Harvard and you have a successful finance career right now. You could have stayed on that track. You could have donated to anti-racism causes, but you chose to get involved personally in advocacy. Why did you make that decision?
Yeah, I got involved personally because I just feel like it's my duty as a member of the community, and in any place where you want to see change. My parents taught me that if you want to see change, you have to be a part of it. You have to get in on the ground, and you got to contribute yourself and put your time into those efforts.
Vibor, what do you hope to do with this organization in the future? Where do you hope to take it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think one of the things that is so important just beyond this issue when we take a step back is that when Chris and I started brainstorming about what this could place importance on, one of the things and the common beliefs that we bonded over was that there are a lot of misconceptions with young people and their ability to make and inform systematic change. And one of the things that we hope to do is to look to how can we throughout history, especially over the last year, you've seen a lot of young people lead some of the most important social movements across the country. And one of the things that we hope to do is provide that sort of infrastructure and ethos around these young people to be able to make that systematic change, change the narrative, and give them a seat at the table on some of the more important local issues.
Well, to both of you, thank you so much for your dedication, your hard work. We wish you the very best, and thank you so much for sharing your story this morning.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having us on.
Thank you for having us.